Hi guys and welcome back to the channel. Today I've got the tank review for the brand new Eastern Alliance Era 2 Premium Medium Tank, the WZ-1224, or as I'm going to call it, the WZ-1224. It's the level 100 Season Pass tank, so if you get the Season Pass you will get this tank at level 100. And what do I think of the tank? Well, I just think it's pretty okay. It's nothing to write home about, it's just sort of an alright medium tank. It'll make you decent credits, its gun's really nice, the mobility is fantastic, the armour's pretty troll. It's not that reliable, realistically, because you will bounce a lot of shots off this upper plate, and you'll get a lot of ricochets off of it, which is quite nice, and you'll probably ricochet a fair amount off of the turret front as well, but there's a lot of spots where people will catch your armour, and I mean a lot of spots, where shots will just fly in. So, like, the lower plate is really big and easy to hit, and there's actually a couple of autocannons that could quite easily pen the lower plate as well, because it's only like 100mm thick. The cupolas on top are easy to pen. This bar here catches shots as well, which means that if people shoot at your turret front and they hit this spaced armour section here, it can ricochet, but if they get lucky and it goes slightly higher, it will pen this section here, right? So this is why I say the armour is pretty damn troll. The gun is the same one that you get on the WZ-122, and it's more accurate than WZ-122, which is nice, because the WZ-122 is, that gun is really troll sometimes, it misses stupid shots. This gun doesn't really do that too much, but it has the same problem that WZ-122 has with the gun, and that is the penetration. 372 on that standard pen is pretty garbo for Era 2, and it will let you down a lot. I mean, you can still pen a lot of the weak spots if you shoot them, but it just means that you'll get a hell of a lot of bounces with this gun that you won't get with a lot of the other Era 2 mediums that have got like 430, 440 plus pen. And then on top of that, obviously, you have heat rounds as premium, so you basically have only 372 pen, because you're not really going to take 440 heat pen at all, realistically, in Era 2. So it does have that problem. The penetration is the big drawback, but like I say, it's a pretty balanced tank on the whole. You've just got to make sure, be aware that you've got no side armour and no rear armour as well, so autocannons again are a dream against your side and rear too. But on the whole, I think it's okay. It's just pretty balanced, and it's pretty capable, as you're going to see from the replays. So without further ado, let's have a look at the statistics of the WZ-122. So we've got a 950 horsepower engine, with a 65km/h top speed and a 26km/h reverse speed. 21.69 horsepower per ton ratio means you hit this 65km/h top speed really, really easily, and that reverse speed is fantastic at 26.7. You could run the traction system if you wanted to, and you'll get yourself up to 71km/h, and you would hit it, and obviously that would go up to about 29km/h reverse speed, 28km/h reverse speed, somewhere in that area as well. You've got a 10% internal fire chance, which is on the low end of the fire chances. You've got a 2.7k hit points, which is a good amount of hit points to trade away. And you've got a 40 degrees a second hull rotation speed, which is pretty nippy and pretty nimble in terms of its rotation. This thing does turn on the sixpence pretty easily. You've got 1.9 on soft, 0.95 on medium, and 0.85 on firm. Your terrain resistances are really good for this tank. It doesn't hold the tank back whatsoever, really. You've got 363 metres of steel concealment, which is not that great, and realistically you can't get that down that low, so you don't really want to focus on the concealment for this tank too much. You've got 490 metres view range, which is, I think actually is on the lower end for Era 2, because there's quite a few that are pushing 500 plus, but it's still not too bad. You've got 34 degrees a second turret rotation, which is slower than your hull, so bear that in mind, that this turret does turn slower than the hull. So if you turn the hull the opposite way to the turret won't be able to keep up with the tank. You've got a 0.87 meters of accuracy during rotation, which isn't too bad, and if you run the gun stabilizer and the gun perks on your crew, you'll get this down to a really good level. You got 20 degrees of elevation, which is solid. It means you can look up to everything that you're going to see. And 5 degrees of gun depression, which is pretty awful, and it's a bit of a pain to use a fair amount with this tank, because this tank is also not the smallest, if you know what I mean. Like the WZ-122 has 5 degrees of gun depression, but that's pretty low to the ground. This is a pretty tall tank, and 5 degrees of gun depression is a bit of a pain for it, and makes it a bit awkward. Well, it makes it very awkward to use on quite a few ridge lines. You might see that in one or two of the replays as well. You've got an 8.7 second reload, which is really quite nice. 0.32 accuracy at 100 meters, which you can get down to even lower than that, which is good. 2.7 accuracy during movement is not that great, but with run and gun stabilizer, etc., you can get that to a pretty decent level. 2-second aim time is fantastic. It means this gun is pretty much aimed in very, very quickly, and you will be able to snap the shots in pretty easily with this gun. You've got APFS-DS as the standard shell, heat rounds as premium, and HE as the standard HE, which has 372 penetration on the APFS-DS, which again is low, and it's a pain to use. I mean, it's something you can get away with on the WZ-122 because, like I say, you can pen a lot of the weak spots with it. You just have to have a bit of decent RNG every now and then to actually hit those weak spots. But then with the WZ-122, you have ATGMs on your multi-weapon system to launch at them, and then you have that deadly double tap, which is why that tank is so much fun. This tank doesn't have that, so 372 pen is pretty horrid. And you got 440 on the heat rounds, but again, it's heat in Era 2, which is really unreliable, and you sometimes, well, a lot of the time, you're just better off firing the APFS-DS, if we're totally honest. And you've got 130mm of pen on the HE, which you can pen a fair few of the Leopards and the MX-30s with, but it's not the most usable HE in the era. I mean, there's quite a few of the, like, especially like the American ones and the British ones that have got like 200 plus HESH, or HE, I should say, not HESH. And you can use that against so many tanks in so many spots, but this is not as usable. So realistically, most of the time, you're going to fire the APFS-DS. You've got 1,615 meters a second shell velocity on the APFS-DS, which is amazing. That shell velocity is utterly fantastic. You won't have too much problem leading your targets whatsoever with that. You've got 950 meters a second on the heat and 905 meters a second on the HE, with 470 alpha on the APFS-DS. Yeah, so like I say, that gun is the letdown of the tank, realistically, for me. That is the letdown of the tank, is that penetration is really just not good enough in Era 2, and it means you struggle, and there's a fair few other Era 2 premiums out there that you can get for probably a similar price. Obviously, this is in the Season Pass, so you're getting this for free, so fantastic anyway. But if you were to be buying this later down the line, and you're looking at this review, there's a lot of other Era 2 premium tanks out there that you could buy for probably a similar price and get way better penetration, not have to worry about the fact that you're going to struggle to pen things like AVs and 4211s unless you hit the right spot, and which some of the tanks like AVs, there's not too many spots you'll pen anyway. And in terms of the silver bonus, you've got 155% silver bonus, 115% on the tank bonus, which is basically 55% silver bonus, 15% tank XP bonus, and a 15% commander XP bonus, which is quite nice. So you can get some decent crew training on this, some good silver on it, and it does make pretty decent silver too. So let's have a quick look at the armor. As you can see, you got 320 there, 310 there, you got 280 on the turret, with 240 on that mid plate there, upper plate. This is where this shot catch. This is basically a shot catch. This also catches shots as well. If they end up going higher and hitting this spot here, they'll bounce, but this catches shots a lot. You've got 220 on that top of the turret, 190 there on the upper plate, 160 on the lower plate, sorry, upper plate. And yeah, you're seeing the little bits of spaced armor as well that are knocking about on this turret. I mean, that's what, 90s on the rear of this turret. The many spots of spaced armor that is going off in this tank is what makes the armor so troll, because you can see, like, in terms of the colors, it's not too good, but you've got 280 there on the turret front, and then you've got 140 on spaced armor there. So that's why the turret front is really, really good. It might occasionally catch shots, but it's the turret roof that you've got to worry about the most in terms of the armor on this WZ-1224. So in terms of a crew, let's stick it from the WZ-122 into the 122-4. So in terms of a crew, I do run on this WZ-122-4. I run Sixth Sense, Born Leader, Rapid Reloading, Steady Aim, Run and Gun, Snapshot, Clutch Braking, Track Mechanic, and Deadeye. I run Deadeye for the memes, pretty much for the memes, because I like the ability to just damage people's modules, and it can save you in quite a few situations if you have a higher chance of damaging things like ammo racks. And once again, you might see that in one of the replays. It helps you a lot to have the ability to damage modules more. It means you might set people on fire more often, you might damage people's ammo racks more often, you have more chance of popping them, because it increases the chance of that by 6%. Is it a redundant skill? Who knows? It might be a placebo effect, and I might think it works, but you never know. And you might be better running Rapid Aim instead of Deadeye. It's down to you and how you want to set up the tank, realistically. I run track mechanic because I want to get my tracks back on quicker if I can, because there's a lot of tanks that can just perma-track you if you don't run track mechanic in Era 2. Clutch braking to make it turn on the sixpence even better, to make it feel even more nimble while turning. The 3 gun perks, because this era is all about the gun half the time, and especially with a gun with lower penetration like this tank, I want to make sure I'm hitting those weak spots. So I want to make sure that this gun is as good as it humanly can be by having these 3 gun perks. Rapid loading, because you want to make sure your DPM is 10% better, as always. Born Leader, because you always want to make everything in your tank better by 10%. And Sixth Sense, because you always want to know when you're spotted, especially when there's those pesky light tanks out there that you basically can't spot unless you get within 100 meters of them, and they will spot you from a great distance. And you know, from the moment that Sixth Sense goes off, you're like, oh, I'm in the vicinity somewhere, and you can go really keeping a keen eye on looking for them. But yeah, I mean, you're going to take these 4 perks at least on every single tank in Era 2, or in Cold War in general, realistically. And in terms of equipment, well, I run food because food is great for a tank like this. I run the advanced loader, the gun stabilizer, and for myself, I run vents. I run vents because I want to make, again, everything about this tank better. And that's what I do with the vents. I make it so that I'll get better DPM, better accuracy, better aim time, and just make everything about the tank generally better with those vents. Again, you could quite easily swap that out for traction system to get up to 71 kilometers an hour. You could run optics if you really wanted to boost your view range up, but it's down to you. You could run the ammo swapper if you wanted to use the HE more often. It's completely down to you and how you want to play the tank. I just prefer making everything about the tank generally better. And then the gun stabilizer, because I want to make this gun as good as possible, and your DPM as good as possible with the advanced loader as well. So let's have a look at the stats of this thing fully equipped out. So, as you can see, we've now got ourselves up to 43.75 degrees a second on the hull rotation, which is nearly 4 degrees a second faster than it was. The terrain resistances have dropped to 1.72, 0.86 and 0.77. Like I say, they generally don't affect this tank in terms of its mobility whatsoever. You got 542 meters of view range now, which is decent. You got 37.66 degrees a second turret rotation, which is still way slower than the hull because we've not really helped it too much. Accuracy during rotation is down to 0.45. The reload is now at 6.19 seconds, which is, 4.5k DPM, which is really quite nice. Accuracy during movement, is at 1.5. Accuracy at 100 meters is 0.25 now. So your accuracy is absolutely fantastic. Like I say, the accuracy on this tank is really good, and you've got a 1.81 second aim time, which means this gun, like I say, aims in really, really quickly. And yeah, that's the fully equipped stats with this tank like that. I mean, let's have a quick look at this gun compared to its other gun, which is on the 122. So let's stick this commander in the WZ-1224, which I don't actually run vents on. I run the camo net, but let's have a quick look. You can see this thing has the ability to double. The thing is, this tank doesn't have any armor, which is what the 122.4 technically has, although it's not the most reliable in the universe. It's really troll. But this gun reloads faster. 4.7k DPM, 5.98 second reload. Your accuracy is about the same as well. Your aim time's a little bit off it. Your accuracy during movement is better than the 122.4. The 0.55 accuracy during rotation is worse. But yeah, your mobility is worse on this tank though, at 55 kilometers an hour. And yeah, your hull rotation is better, all that sort of stuff. I mean, realistically, I would say for the between the two, I would definitely always prefer the WZ-122 to the 122.4, because the fact that this gun is more troll. I mean, statistically, it's better than the 122.4, but the 122.4's guns actually felt way better, if I'm totally honest, than the 122, because this thing does love to miss shots, and it's a very troll gun. But you have the ability to launch those ATGMs out of the multi-weapon system, and this tank is just so many memes for that, and that double tap pack-a-punch power is beautiful out of the WZ-122, and it's something that you do lack out of that 122.4. But that does not mean the WZ-122.4 is bad. No, not at all. I think it's a pretty okay tank. It's just pretty balanced. It's just pretty balanced, realistically. It does a lot of things pretty well. I mean, it's a pretty good all-round tank in sort of everything except for penetration. The penetration really does suck, and its DPM as well. As you've just seen, the DPM is worse than the 122 as well, and the 122 hasn't got the best DPM out of all the Era 2 premiums either. So yeah, but that's the WZ-122.4. That's the commander, the equipment. That's all the good stuff that you get to see about this tank. Like I say, for free in the season pass, it's a pretty decent tank to pick up. And yeah, it's the penetration. It really is the penetration that lets it down. And the 5 degrees of gun depression is also extremely awkward for a tall tank. But yeah, for free in the Season Pass, pretty okay. And it's definitely very capable, and you're going to see that from the last game especially. And yeah, you can have a pretty decent amount of fun in it. Don't expect this thing to be an absolute world beater, is the way I'd sum up this garage section. So yeah, as always everybody, I'm going to send you over to the replays where you can watch this tank in action, see how it handles, see the downsides, see the upsides, you know how it goes, and you can sort of make your own mind up on this tank. Like I say, it's always worth going for the Season Pass anyway for 2k gold, because you do get that 2k gold back through all the goodies you get and the chests and in general from just completing the Season Pass. So as always everybody, I will see you in the replays. So here we are in the replays with the WZ-1224, and the first game we are on this map, which is Serene Coast. I was about to call it South Coast then. No, it's Serene Coast. South Coast. Blast from the past. Maybe one day we'll see that map again. Yeah, we're on Serene Coast, and on Serene Coast, I'm usually going to charge towards C1, even with 5 degrees of gun depression, because from the spawn that we got, we can get there way quicker than they can. And that way we can lock down anyone that tries to come up the one line, and we can basically snipe towards anyone that camps in their base, which usually is quite a few. So you can see we come around the corner, see if we can see anyone. We can't, so we start looking for targets. And the TR-125 at the back gets spotted. Unfortunately, we ricochet off his lower plate. The TR-125 is actually one that we're going to struggle frontally unless we hit his side like we just did. It's just one we're not going to pen that reliably, realistically, especially at this distance where our penetration is dropping. So we go for the charge. I'm like, you know what, I'm going to charge. We know where some of those guys are. We are basically going to charge forwards, see if we can spot them up, because that way we'll be able to get some assistance. We've got a lot of people sat behind us, so if we start lighting people up, that assistance is going to start flowing in. There you go. We end up spotting the Object 120 at the back. We spot the Magak 3. It's like, hello, Mr. Magak 3. You are easy to pen. Thank you very much. I will take this every day of the week with my 372 pen. And he ends up getting shut down. We got pretty much all the assistance on that guy as well. We're not spotting anyone at this moment in time, although we're seeing this FV4211. We go for the Cupola, and unfortunately we bounce. But we do spot the AMX-13 SS11. It's like, well, if you're going to sit there, friend, let me hit the floor, because why not? RNG. Thank you very much, my friend. I love you. Oh, no, that's an ATGM. Absolutely not. We pull forward. He misses, and you can see our assistance is just pouring in right now because we're lighting these guys up. We've got enough people behind us, and yeah, we're up to 3.5k assistance just like that. If you can sit, if you have a massive gun line with you, most of the time in this era especially, people will just sit there farming the things that they can see with true vision. You, by the way, Neo, just saying, and yeah, they will sit farming the people with true vision. If you can see them with true vision, you're going to struggle to pen them a little bit with like this gun can. You may as well charge forward if you can get yourselves into a position that's safe, like I could with the ridge lines. Charge forward, spot them up, because then you're getting all of that spotting assist if you're lighting them up. And yeah, you can benefit from that too. I mean, that's a little tip for if you're going for marks of excellence and stuff like that. If you know you can get yourself safe and spot the enemy team, and you've got a good gun line behind you that are farming, you're going to net yourself a lot of assistance, and that is always good for you combined. But yeah, so that's why I did it, because I thought, well, I'm not going to get much. I'm struggling to see some of these tanks, and realistically, like the TR-125, I'm bouncing off it, which is frustrating. So you know what? We'll charge in, see what we can spot, and it worked out pretty well. I mean, we've ended up getting 3.8k assistance with 3.6k damage. There's only 3 tanks left on the enemy team. They're all around this corner, so we're going to charge in to see if we can get there. At this point, we're just going to be bold as brass. And yeah, we get an ATGM in the side. He actually hit our side back end of the engine there, which set us on fire, and we only got 1 shot into him, and the other 2 get shut down. And we have a fairly average game there for the WZ-122, realistically, only 4k damage. I mean, the assistance was just because we charged forward. And yeah, well, it's 8k combined though, it's not too bad. The Confederate, the 3rd class, and yeah, 1,120 base XP. Again, a pretty average game, realistically, for the WZ-122 there. It shows you the armor and the fact that you can ricochet a few shots here and there off the upper plate, turret, etc. But as soon as you get out in the open, things can pen you very, very easily. ATGMs love you, like you just saw from the M60A2. And if those ATGMs pen you, they are setting you on fire. That's the warning. They are setting you on fire. If they hit you anywhere in the mid to back end, you are lighting up. Even though you've got 10% fire chance, it's just because the module damage from ATGMs is so great, and obviously your engine and stuff like that is at the back of the tank, so therefore you're going to get set on fire, and that is not a good time for you. So we're on to the second replay of this review, and we are on Heilbronn. And Heilbronn, I'm going to go towards where the cap is, because I can sit on this position here, this little ridge, and I can try and see and shoot people that might be camping at C90, but I can also shoot the people that like to cross. Because people do cross this open section here that I'm trying to look at, and you can try and get some free shots at them as they cross to try and get to the 90. So you can see I'm just watching it going, hello? Hello? I would like to shoot you. But no one's for some reason, no one's taking the bait. I don't know why anyone wouldn't let me just shoot them. It's really rude of the enemy team, to be honest, to just not cross in front of my path. And then we get attacked by this T-72AB. And then a T-72, and it's like, hello friends, okay, this is a lot of people, and my 5 degrees of gun depression is letting me down. There's too many angles here where people can see me, because obviously if I'm turning to shoot the T-72, the AV is going, oh, I can shoot him. If I turn to shoot the AV, the T-72 is going, oh, I could pop up and shoot him. I'm not about that life. Not about that life. That was a crossfire that was not a good time. So instead of staying in a position that's not going to help me, and the fact that I was actually kind of alone by the end of it, we're going to move ourselves and position ourselves into a better place where we can do more in this game. So we get a nice shot on the move into the BMP1, shutting him down. The MX-30B's charging, and it's like, hello, Mr. 30B, are we okay, sir? He ends up bouncing his heat round off our upper plate. He pens us, though, through the turret. We track him in place with a shot that was meant to pen him, to be honest. I didn't go for the tracking shot there. And he gets shut down. He had a death wish. He just wanted to be out of this game. And we'll take the tracking assist very kindly. Thank you very much. Now the T-72's starting to come in, and we're just going for the shot into the lower plate. We go straight through his lower plate. We're up to 1,200 damage with 1,200 assists, and we are trying to get in to help this Conqueror, because this Conqueror's got himself in a position. We shut down the T-72. There's the ATGM being eaten by that spaced armor on the upper plate from the BMP. We give him a little nudge, and oh, unfortunately we couldn't quite kill him with the little nudge. But yeah, that's where the armor on the turret front and that little bit of spaced armor on the front can save you from ATGMs. It's not infallible. It's not going to absorb every single ATGM under the sun like the FV4211 can, but it's enough that occasionally those ATGMs that aren't aimed properly by, you know, the YOLO light tanks won't do anything, which is definitely something that's an asset really for a tank like this. And yeah, we unfortunately couldn't get any shots into that 4211 because he just got swarmed, but we're up to 2.6k damage with 2,077 assist. I think, do I go back towards the base? Nah, you know what, there's quite a few that were spotted over here, and there we go, there's only 4 tanks left, so actually 3 of the 4 currently are spotted in the distance over here in towards the town, and there you go, there's the last one. We get a nice shot into the 4211 side there. We're going for the tracking shot on this bandit, which tracks and pens it, damages Zemarak too, and I was hoping that if I was to track it, people would actually shoot it and feed me some assistance, but sadly that it was not the case, even though it was really out in the open for basically everyone. We are trying to move up now to try and keep ourselves in this game with a chance of getting some more damage on these 4211s. They're a little bit distracted, although they might go for us, but we aim for the cupola there of the 421. It goes straight through, and yeah, that cupola chain on that 421 is was definitely a very, very nice change, because it means you can actually pen these things rather than just hitting the cupola and ricocheting every time. You can actually go through that cupola quite reliably, which is definitely nice. It's still troll, because it's like every other little cupola that's like it, that occasionally just doesn't like to get penned, but the change definitely made that tank a bit easier to actually deal with. And we end up tracking one of the FV4211s, which fed us some assistance, because I was always aiming for that track because he was getting swarmed, and we managed to get some of the pens into the other one, and unfortunately we couldn't get anywhere near the Brennus before he got machine gunned himself, and we finished the game with a really nice total. We finished with the epic victory. Come top on the team, 3 kills, 4.9k damage, the 3.5k assistance, so what, again, that's about, what, 8.5k combined, something like that. Really nice game for the 122.4 with 1433 base XP. Yeah, pretty decent game there. Again, showed the tank, showed the fact that the armor can absorb ATGMs, which is quite nice. It can ricochet shots. The gun is pretty damn nice when you get going with it. The penetration can hold you back, but as long as you shoot the weak spots, a lot of the time you can get away with it. We're on the third replay, and the third replay, oh look, I've not seen this map before. Have you guys seen this map before? I haven't. I feel like we've just seen it. I don't know. Opposite spawn, Heilbronn. We're playing it different, 2 different spawns. So on Heilbronn, on the opposite spawn, what am I going to do? Well, I'm basically going to go to the same place. Why am I going to go to the same place? Because, again, it's a very strong location to take. The sad thing is that people don't often go here, especially from our spawn that we've got in this replay. Why? Because they camp at B7 and B0, and they don't move away from the rock at D7, which means that if the enemy team pushes this area quite aggressively, you're boned. So you've got to be very, very careful. As you can see, I am so alone. I am so alone. So this is an extremely dangerous position to be in, because if they push over the other ridge on our right at F4, 5, yeah, they could get up behind me quite easily too. And yeah, if they push this area where we are here too as well quite aggressively, we would get pushed and overrun and die. So it's a very aggressive position to take, but it's also not that aggressive really, especially if your team actually backs you up. And that's the thing right there. So we're pushing quite aggressively because we have quite a few people that have pushed up, and I want to try and see if we can get in behind these guys and shoot them in the back, because there was a couple that I spotted on the cross at F5. But now we've got this leopard that's coming after us. We've got the Conqueror. I tried to go for a shot at the leopard there, but I ended up locking onto the Conqueror and missing that. I think we hit the shot. Shouldn't have used auto-aim quite as much in this situation because I was just struggling to find the tank that I wanted to shoot. The leopard goes, what the? Where did that? How? What? Okay. Sure, bud. We'll go with that. I have no idea what. I auto-aimed at that guy. I fired, and the shot flew miles above him. Weird one, but hey, well. We are now farming this M60. It's like, hello, Mr. M60. If you want to stay here in front of my gun and I can keep poking this corner, that's very kind of you. Oh, that is very kind of you to donate your hit points, Mr. M60. I will take WZ-1224. We'll take this every day. Because we were having a nasty time trying to get some shots into this leopard. He was firing Hesh at us, which he could actually pen our lower plate with that Hesh, by the way. But he was just hitting our upper plate, I think, and splashing. We managed to shut down that Leopard 1A5. The Mobat managed to snap the shot in, by the way, on the move as he flew past. Like, I wish I could do that in my Mobat. My Mobat doesn't do that. We get tracked in an awkward spot. The Mobat bounces, but we get penned by the Bandit. And it's like, well, this is not looking too good right now. My hit points are low, and I've got 3 guys in front of me. The Mobat's coming round to get a shot into us. He ends up bouncing off our upper plate. The 30B pokes round to try and get a shot at us, but he takes hit from the guys at C0. And again, this little lip on this ridge that we're on is really awkward for this tank. Because 5 degrees of gun depression it's just really letting us down. I kind of wish this thing had 7, if I'm honest. But it's really letting us down in this situation because we just can't get our gun down properly. And we're having to overexpose to even try and get shots at these guys around the corner of this rock. And they were quite easily coming around and just be able to pop shots at us. But because, like I say, the armor on this tank is actually quite nice on the upper plate and the turret front, you can ricochet shots. And you've seen that so far in this replay, that you can ricochet shots. You don't want to 100% rely on it. But it works. It's not like pure paper, which is definitely nice. So now we're up behind the Conqueror Mark II, and these guys, the Mobat ran away. He went, nope, not dealing with that, and full sprinted ahead. We are trying to see if we can start farming shots into these guys, get guns out the game, and get some more damage. Unfortunately, the Mobat managed to get himself safe away from us. The Conqueror Mark II got himself away from us as well. The 4211's at G3, the medium tank's at H2, and we just can't quite find any more shots at these guys because they're all behind the ridge lines where we can't shoot them. Poking up here to see if I can actually get shots at the back end of this Mobat, but he's actually tucked into that corner where I can't see him. So we're going to go after this Bandit that we know is around this corner. Now this is dangerous because we're a 2-shot for the Bandit, and he's a full health Bandit. We try to ricochet him off our turret, but he ends up just going straight through, which is where I go, don't rely on the armor. If you can try and avoid taking a hit, avoid it, because he went straight through the turret, because lol, why not? Right? So it's something you want to try and avoid if you can. Just don't even try and ricochet shots. Just hope for the best, and it might actually happen for you. So the Bandit started to come after us, and I was quite surprised he didn't just full send after us. Now we've got a Magak with us, which is definitely a part that makes him hesitant. We have to be careful, though, because we are a 1-shot for this Bandit, and again, 5 degrees of gun depression is really letting us down. I just can't get the gun depression to get the shot. I couldn't risk poking up, because he could shut me down in 1 shot, and unfortunately we didn't get any more shots into the Bandit, and the T-72A in the distance gets shut down by the Leopard 1A3, and that replay really showed how awkward this tank can be with that gun depression, and once again, showed how the armor can actually be quite nice, but that gun depression can be so awkward in a lot of situations that makes it. If I had 7, I'd be able to get shots at that Bandit. That fight on that corner where that rock was would have been a lot easier for the tank, because there was a lot. I just couldn't get the gun down to get the shots into those guys. And it was just super frustrating, because it was like, I can't shoot them, but they're easily obviously getting the gun depression to shoot me around this corner. I have to overexpose to actually get the shots. Yeah, it's just one of those things. We're on to the 4th and final replay. The best game I've had in this tank. Yes, the best one. And, oh boy. Oh boy. Yeah, it was a time, is the words I'll put into you right here. This game is one of those games that's like, oh boy, we had some fun. So we're on this map, which is Pearl River, and on Pearl River, I'm attacking the 1-2 line quite aggressively, because again, I don't need too much gun depression to go get hulled down over here. I can use it quite aggressively to flank towards their base, not stuck with too many horrible corridors where we're poking on corners, and again, I can use my turret. We managed to get 2 shots out so far, one into the Centurion 9, one into the Sheridan. We're just looking to see if we can see anything with true vision that was sitting on those ridge lines, but there's doesn't seem to be anything there. We get a nice shot into the side of the T-72M1. We try and get another shot in, and unfortunately, we just ricochet off his side. It was a bit of an awkward angle. The heavy tanks moved up in front of us at J2, so you know what? We're going to go help this guy out against the 2 Centurion 9s. And realistically, I'm not too scared of Centurion 9s, because they're not the scariest tanks in the universe. They're poo pancakes, and they are very easy to just absolutely trash, because they've got no armor, the DPM's not that great, if they're stock, the penetration isn't great, the tank is garbo. I hate that Centurion 9 with a passion. If you've not watched this channel, you already know that I hate that tank with a pure passion. I hate it so much. I don't know if you can tell, I don't like the Centurion 9. Yeah, it is what it is. So, we've moved up. The Leopard 1A5 has no issue whatsoever going straight through our turret front, because he's got like 450 pen. And again, it's the type of armor where it works a decent amount, but at the same time, don't rely on it. Don't think, aha, I'm hulled down, I will bounce this shot. Just keep yourself wiggling, keep accentuating the angles, and you may get lucky and ricochet quite a few shots off of it, because it is quite thick armor, but it's not incredibly reliable. And we've now moved up, got rid of that Centurion 9, because we did the one thing that you do in that sort of situation. Even though he has good gun depression, we face-hugged him so that it made it as difficult as possible for him to get a clean shot into our lower plate or any spot that he could actually pen. Although face-hugging him is a bit of a problem, because he could also have just, you know, gone through the cupolas on top. But it made it awkward for him. We get a shot into the T-72M1, which was actually the reason that I pulled forward into the rocks over here, but I got a bit distracted by the Leopard. We're now in a position to start shooting the guys that are over here, like this M60A2 that are attacking the guys coming out of the AB line. We managed to shut down the M60A2. We go for a shot at the back of the 4211, and that flies true. Beautiful scenes. The Leopard 1A5 is now charging down off of their base towards our medium tank at B5. And immediately I'm like, okay, I've got to help this guy out. I want my friend to survive this Leopard if I can, this 30B. So we get over here to a better position where we can put the shots in, put him down to a one-shot, and the 30B2 shuts him down. So there's a Brenner spotted at G6, but then we spot the BMP crossing. There's a 4211 there, there's another 4211 there on the other ridge that you've just seen. So actually we're in a pretty decent position to get some shots if we want to. And that's what we're trying to do. We can try and get some shots into the BMP. We can just see the cupola of the 4211. We go straight through, which is great. Just watching out for that BMP because it looked like he was going to cross. There he is. On the reload, shoot the BMP, put him down to a one-shot. And at this point, that BMP was getting away. So I was starting to think, if I can't see a shot into that 4211, I'm going to get over here and see if I can get into a position to get some shots into the BMP. So what we're going to try and do is climb up this ridgeline here and get into the middle of the map. But unfortunately, we didn't have the momentum. We're only going 55 kilometers an hour, and it didn't happen. We poked around the corner, it's like, oh, hello T-72, and hello Chieftain 120. That Chieftain 120 is a deadly tank. We've got to be very, very careful against that guy. We try and snap the shot into the T-72. Unfortunately, we hit the ridgeline. The BMP is above us, so we have to be careful. We get a shot into the back of the T-72M1 that's appeared. The BMP is looking like he wants to try and drop down in 80 GMers. We don't want that. The T-72M1 is now charging. We get a shot into his side. He snaps a shot on the move into us as well, which is annoying. But he's still coming after us. We go for the tracking shot. I thought we may be able to track and pen that guy, but we don't. Realistically, I wanted to stop his charge, because at this point in time, I do not want them to get around me. I want to be able to keep my front pace facing towards all of the enemy tanks, all of the danger, essentially. So if I can track these guys and stop them from charging round, that is what we're going to do. The Chieftain 120 comes around to try and get a shot, but we actually shoot the T-72M1, which we never meant to do. We were just trying to shoot the Chieftain 120, but he went, "Get down, Mr. President," and took the shot for Chieftain 120. We get another shot into the T-72M1, which puts him down to a one-shot. The Chieftain 120 is coming after us. Again, that is a deadly tank, because he will be able to pen us if he aims properly, he will be able to pen us quite easily with his premium rounds. With his standard rounds, he'll be able to pen loads of spots as well. He has higher alpha than us, and way better DPM, and better accuracy, and just better everything in general, really. The Chieftain 120 is such a ridiculously good tank. But again, he looked like he was charging, so we tracked him in place. We track him again, which damages his ammo rack. Dead eye, anyone? And we are trying to, again, just stop him from getting around us, because he looked like he wanted to charge. We did not want to make it so we had to turn around. We managed to shut down the T-72M1, which is good. Now the Chieftain 120 is a one-shot. We're going to get the RBRT in and shut down the Chieftain 120. The 4211 in the distance shuts down one of our friends, and it's like, oh, goodness me, there's another 4211 that's pretty healthy. I didn't expect that guy to be there. We get shot into his cupola, and I'm thinking at this point, oh no, help me, people, please. No, don't go towards the other FV 4211 M103. Oh no. It's now a 2v2. And I'm not liking the looks of this, because this guy's pretty healthy. So we get a shot into his cupola. The RDF shuts down the other FV. That 4211 is now coming after us. Oh dear. So we get away from it, angle our armor towards him if we can, shoot him in the driver, which damages his ammo rack. Dead eye, anyone? He pens us, and he's clearly not got a repair kit anymore. We shoot him in the lower edge of his tank to go underneath the space armor, track him in place, maneuver around him, and as soon as I felt like he could have been able to shoot, I backed up quickly, we neo'd it, and we shut him down. And we finished with the victory, 5 kills, 14k damage, the 1197 assistance, nearly 300k silver, the 3.7k blocks, ace tanker, sniper, confederate, high caliber, 1963 base XP, a really fantastic game for the WZ-1224 there. That's the best game I've had in this tank. Again, it shows you how capable this tank can be. It's a pretty okay tank, and that was a lot of fun. You better believe I raved after that. Actually, I was listening to music at that time, and one of the songs drops hit exactly as I finished that game, so I had a little jig to myself, you know. It was a good time. But the WZ-1224, it's a pretty okay tank, and for free in the season pass, or for the season pass, I should say, it's pretty decent. So as always, everybody, thank you very much for watching. I'll see you next time.
A great success.